machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
1 second, folks. Not sure why the music wasn't turning on, but don't worry, folks. We'll be right up. For the life of me, I could not get that, music to go. I don't know why, but anyways. Welcome, everybody. I hope everyone's doing alright. What is going on with all this sound? The sound system has been completely gone. There we go. Alright. Anyways, welcome everybody. Bruno, John, Lithium. We are live from Polymarket Studios indeed. Derry Bennett, hi, hello, howdy. Alright, looks like we got everything going. Not sure why none of that ever worked, but whatever. I tried for the life of me to get everything, to, play, but it just didn't want to. Whatever. Alright, folks, thank you all for being here. Today's show, again, is gonna be slightly shorter, because I gotta get out of here, pretty quickly. Thank you all for being here. As always, thank you all for your support. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you. Thank you if you want to support the channel. One of the best ways of doing so is to spread the word, folks. Spread the word far and wide. We're here Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Check out my show on this space every Tuesday at around 7 p.m. The link will be there. The link is also in the description, folks. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store, tip, Discord, all the stuff, all the things is all right there. Thank you all. Let's get started because we got plenty of stuff to talk about and limited time to do so. So let's get started. Yeah, all days ending in Y. Bad Lefty, welcome. All right. Stuff to pay attention to, folks. Stuff to pay attention to.
The state of South Dakota has put a new law into place. It goes into effect on July 1st. It was passed by the Republican-controlled legislature, signed by the Republican governor. And this law that we will start seeing pop up in other states across the country allows anyone in the state to file a challenge against anyone else in the state over their citizenship and strip them of their right to vote.
Yeah. So that's happening. Fantastic stuff happening. Y'all heard that, right? So basically the way the law is going to work, at least that's how they think it's going to work, is that they want people to report their fellow citizens and dispute essentially their ballot effectively, right? Like that's fundamentally what they're trying to accomplish here, right? It's basically like having conservative citizens open up complaints on people they don't like, right? Presumably your quote unquote liberals or whatever. Their perceived political opposition, and then try to eliminate their right to vote. Bonzilla, welcome. Ooh, not sure why that went away. Hold on one second, folks. There we are. Okay. Now let me get myself back on. Today has been a pain in the butt trying to get all this stuff to go. You know, technology is beautiful when it works, and then, like, you know, you have days like today.
And then it is up to the person who lost their right to vote to go and prove to the state, hold up, I'm actually a citizen, I'm allowed to vote. And of course, if they do not do that, they lose the right to vote. They have turned the entire citizenry of South Dakota into what we all learned about with the Nazis. Report your neighbors. Call them in. Even if you just suspect something, you may not have hard evidence, but you know what? Make the call.
Right.
Skeets here says McCarthyism 2.0. That is exactly what this is. Everybody is their eyes and ears. You don't have to have the evidence. You just have to say, I don't think this person is up to snuff. Take away their right to vote. Now, granted, the state will not just immediately take away their right to vote. However, it will put basically a red flag into the system on that individual. Meaning, if they do attempt to go in to vote, even while an investigation is taking place, it could be hard. You could have these clerks say, no, we actually cannot give you a ballot. We'll give you the provisional ballot that may or may not end up being counted. This is all a form of voter suppression. But
100%. Like, that's the goal, right? The fact that this could even be a possibility may incentivize people to not vote at all. At least that's how they think it's going to work. But conversely, if this law does go into effect, which presumably it is going to affect July, report Republicans immediately. Report all known Republicans. File a complaint against Republican state lawmakers and the governor, and question their and question their status and eligibility. That's what immediately should happen. As soon as this law goes into effect, I think anyone with common sense, anyone who is pro-democracy, anyone who cares about democracy would immediately report any Republican lawmaker, any known Republican that you know, as well, and question their eligibility to vote, because obviously they need to learn the hard way that this is a absurd idea and make it backfire. This has to be done in mass immediately. Immediately. Provisional ballots do not exist in full democracies. I've never heard of such a thing in European democratic elections. I think like the purpose of the provisional ballot may be good. How it's supposed to work on paper sounds good. Technically, it's supposed to be a way for you to still be able to cast a ballot in a situation where normally you wouldn't, because of, you know, technicalities or whatever, time frames. It's just like it can serve a purpose. But I could be wrong.
this is a creepy new level.
Those are designed to suppress the vote. I mean, maybe so. We
have not seen before. We are in the era, when it comes to voting here in the United States, of pre-crime punishment. Pre-crime. You, the individual, have to go and prove that you did not pre-commit the crime that they think you're going to commit by voting illegally. It's Minority Report. Except the pre-crime is not, oh, you're going to commit murder in the future, so we're going to arrest you now. The pre-crime is, we think you're illegal, and we definitely think you're also going to vote, so we're going to go ahead and make your life a living hell. We're going to punish you in advance for something that did not happen, something that even if it did happen, we have laws in place to where we can prosecute you, and we know how to, do that. We know how to find you. But we don't want to do that. That's a lot of work on our side.
It's the same reason the Electoral College exists. It's by design. Yep.
So we're going to suppress you in advance, and you do all the work. That's not how voting works here in the United States. That's not how it's prescribed in the United States Constitution.
Well, at least that's how it shouldn't be, right? But here we are. There's a lot of things not prescribed by the Constitution of the United States, and they're still happening.
Will this South Dakota law spread across the United States? 100%.
Yeah, if this ends up being successful, right, which it's our job to make sure that Republicans understand that this goes both ways, right? Like, immediately report Republicans. Like, this should happen July 1st, the moment this law goes into effect. Report Republicans, okay? If you live in South Dakota or know somebody in South Dakota, it is our job to spread the word, okay, to the folks in South Dakota, to make sure that they are aware that A, this is happening, and B, to report Republicans, okay? Report Republicans, 100%. Okay, report the lawmakers, report the governor, report anyone that you know that is Republican, and make sure to take away their eligibility to vote. It's just that simple, and I need folks to clip this and share this and spread the word. Hey, Ladybug, how's it going? As far and wide as possible. This is a call to action. Okay, this is a call to action because Farron is correct. If this is successful, right, the way they think it's going to succeed, right, they're going to try to stop, liberals or whatever from voting. If this is successful, they will definitely try, just like they did with the abortion laws and any other anti-trans laws that they've spread around red states. Anything like this that ends up being successful is a blueprint for other states that have a Republican legislature. So, that being said, report them 100%. If you know anybody in South Dakota or you live in South Dakota, this is a direct call to action to report Republicans and take away their eligibility to vote. Because if that's what they want to do, and if that's the game they want to play, then two can play at that game. And again, it is our responsibility and our job to try to spread this message across far and wide as much as possible in the state of South Dakota. Let them know it goes both ways. Exactly. Because this kind of stuff cannot stand at all. This is not how this is supposed to go. So if they want to play that game, then we can play it too, and we can be even more organized. If it backfires, don't disturb the enemy while they're making a mistake. Yeah, 100%. But we gotta, in this situation, it's up to us to make it backfire, right? Like we gotta spread the word and make sure people are reporting Republicans, because that's how this works, right? Like it's kind of like how they tried to do the whole book the book stuff. And people started reporting the Bible, and that got and that got overturned pretty quickly when they realized that it can be used against them. They tried to do that in Texas to indoctrinate Christianity. Yeah, the same thing with the Ten Commandments stuff, like the Church of I know there's like separate the Church of Satan or whatever, the based people, okay, that always come out and do their own thing. Yeah, like those people. It's kind of like that, okay. It backfired when Muslim parents wanted the Quran there too. Yep. Shocking how bold they are to even try this. Yep. They're trying this because they're scared is really what's happening.
Wouldn't shock me to learn right now that other red states looking at this are working on their own drafts right now. This has ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. This has their fingerprints all over it. And this is what happens. You take a state that nobody pays attention to for the most part. Go to that state, try to do your things. If you can get them done, great. That shows the other states how to do it. If it doesn't even work, no harm, no foul. Nobody was paying attention anyway. Years ago, I know Wisconsin is like, a hotbed of politics these days. Years ago, it was not. Years ago, nobody paid attention to Wisconsin in federal elections. And that was until the Koch network, combined with ALEC, came in there and put in a governor named Scott Walker. You may remember that name.
Yep.
And under Scott Walker, they were like, all right, bud, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start killing the public sector unions. Okay, we're going to get rid of teachers' unions. We're going to, basically strip them of all their collective bargaining, all their rights, all their benefits, all their pay, and do some other things. By the way, we also need a lot of oil and gas exploitation in your state. And Wisconsin, because nobody was paying close attention, was like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Well, that garnered national attention. That is when ALEC became exposed. That is when the Koch brothers finally emerged from just these, left-wing conspiracy theories, which weren't conspiracy theories. But you know what I mean? That put it on the map politically. But after Wisconsin was successful, same thing happened in Florida a couple months later. Then it went to Texas. Then it went to all these other red states. Laboratories of democracy is what the states are called, and they're called that for a reason. And what's happening in South Dakota right now is what's going to happen in red states all over the country before this year's midterm elections. Thanks for watching, and if you are not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. And
Yep. Naughty, welcome. There's a few variations on it. Yep. I'm sure there is. I don't even know if this is the first time they've tried this. I had a nice time in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Wish I'd lived there. You're branded you are branded a communist, a cook. Yeah, we know how it goes with right-wingers. Yep. New talking
On one
point.
hand, Jake Tapper is
New talking point just dropped for all the Fox News lemmings.
having journalists on who are working with a clandestine Israeli-Iranian group to sever the relationship with them and their regime, supposedly, whatever. Okay, fine. Jake Tapper's not doing that. But if we head over to Fox News, we're going to get a different perspective. Okay, there is a range of conversation about this.
There's a Temple of Set and a few others just beyond the Church of Satan. Yeah, there's like specifically like one I'm thinking about. There's one specifically I'm thinking about that are pretty base. They're pretty like, they're pretty chill, and like the whole point is to like show like the hypocrisy of like Christianity, by always popping up and advocating for other religious stuff here. I think it was the Church of Satan. I don't know. Like I forget. You're right. There's like there's definitely a few, but there's like one specific group that kind of stands out, but I can't quite put my finger on the name of them, but whatever. You get the point. Aren't American evangelicals the Church of Satan? True. The real Church of Satan.
war in our mainstream media. Granted, Jake Tapper sort of promoting this, but on Fox News, at least, we're getting a different message.
Yeah, I understand that the Democrats have their own political spin on this, but I think they should be careful about some of the talking points that they were releasing. They're talking about the oil prices and the way that it's going to impact and that the president can't last too long. That is exactly what Iran wants to happen. Part of their strategy of this is the propaganda machine that's going out there saying these things, and they believe that if they could get the prices of oil up, that the president would have to draw from the conflict. So just careful, guys.
Man, it's just so like, are they even like trying anymore at this point?
Careful, guys. Careful, guys. Listen, if you don't say anything, then Americans won't notice that their gas now costs $4.99 in a gallon.
If their propaganda machine can just relay basic cause and effect.
Stop accurately describing Iran's tactics that are having an impact on your life in
Yeah,
retaliation.
also, like, even if like, nobody told the United States to attack Iran. Okay, like nobody told the United States to do that except for maybe Israel. Darius, welcome. Lavian Satanism is basically libertarianism dressed up in religion. Yeesh. No thanks on that one.
For Trump's insane actions. That causes a little bit too much.
I get Democrats want to do politics, but talking about the price of oil, that seems to be out of bounds. So on one hand, we have CNN inviting without any pushback that the Iranian people are happy to be bombed because they think it's going to lead to regime change, which almost every word in that sentence is ranges from suspect to total bullshit. And then, at least on Fox News, the other cable channel we got, they're out there saying you shouldn't even talk about what's going on as a second order result of the war, because then it's sort of what Iran wants you to do.
Even Trump's not saying it's like that's not real. He says, I don't have any concern about it. The prices will drop very rapidly when this is over, and if they rise, they rise. But this is far more important than having gasoline prices go up a little bit.
You know, I think he is a little concerned about it. He might be bluffing because he
might be kind of sort of really obviously right. Oh my goodness. And it's not just the price of gasoline, right? Like it's obviously not just the price of gasoline, because everything downstream functions off of that, right? Like if the price of oil skyrockets, and like everything does, because everything in terms of supply chains, as far as supply chains are concerned, run on oil. If oil goes up, everything else goes up eventually. Dakota, welcome. Do you guys think Trump is on drugs? It's unclear. It's possible, right? Like possible. I just don't know. It's likely. There's confusingly also a U.S. Anglican church called that instead of Episcopalian.
I seemingly lied over and over again at market close and went on for so long that he bumped you from CNN, unfortunately, because that segment ran over. But about how the war is about to end. And then we wake up this morning and it seems like that's not the case. So
It's all over the map.
At least tell a consistent
All
story.
the contradictions. I can't even follow the story. Somebody calls me at 5 p.m. and they're like, what's
Oh, so there's your answer about what happened to Sam on CNN. He was not important enough. I see.
happening with the war? And I say, well, maybe it's going to wrap up. And then a couple hours later, people call me back and they go,
Yeah, and
what happened? And I'm like, I don't know.
And when Chuck feels like Trump's talking like it might wrap up soon, that's when he gets really anxious.
Right. Right.
Right. Well, I mean, also this was.
I was counting on the war continuing.
Can you put
He was saying Trump go at the oil reserves to make sure this pressure doesn't actually get to you. He was doing the opposite of what that Fox News guy was doing.
And just about how Trump is, I really think was lying at that point to get the markets to go back to again the price of a barrel was peaked at 120, which is very high, and then it went down to 90 after Trump.
It's exorbitantly high. Like prices past like $100 a barrel is not great. Is not great. The question is, why are we not drugged? True. Yeah, because he got bumped because of Trump. Boo.
Said the war was ending, but then at night, I guess after this 5:30 p.m. So that might have been right after closing. I'm 5 p.m. is when
Closes
markets
at
close.
4, right?
4. Okay, sure. I don't remember, but this was still after that. Then he says, if Iran does anything that stops the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit with what? It already has. Yeah, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder than they have been thus far. Additionally, we will take it to blah, blah, blah. So he's saying that if Iran exercises its sovereignty and tries to use economic leverage against the country that is bombing...
Which, just to be clear, like the Strait of Hormuz is functionally closed, right? Like there's mines there. Ships are being attacked there. The Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed. So, yeah. It's already closed. Trump is almost certainly on various drugs to fight dementia or whatever type he has to enhance his cognitive performance. I would believe that, yeah. Manju Misty, welcome. We on drugs instead sounds like a good idea. Maybe things would start to make some sense. No, I don't think there's any amount of drugs we can take to make any of this make sense. I genuinely don't think there's any amount of drugs that any of us could do collectively to make sense of any of this.
And killing thousands within Iran, then he's going to implement collective punishment on the people of Iran. But apparently the people of Iran are really, really excited about this development.
I mean, to do that segment after they bombed their oil infrastructure is frankly disgusting. Like the type of thing that I would see Jake Tapper put in front of the Hague for. Like these are war crimes we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're doing
Deliberately and intentionally targeting infrastructure is not good.
war
not great.
crimes.
Absolutely.
And Jake Tapper wants to talk about Mom Donnie's fucking wife's Instagram likes. It is really sick what's happening in this country right now.
And when we're talking about like what is the motivation here?
You don't saw how long it took to build a U.S. stockpile and how long to deplete it, etc. They're very calculated.
And we know what Israel's motivation is, and Netanyahu wants like Iran to fall into a failed state or have regime change that's more favorable to them. I also don't think we can undersell how Trump is aging, knows he's dying, and is being sold these ideas about how you can achieve something no president ever has. Venezuela is the first domino to fall in that, which is like we've been trying to take out Chavez and Maduro for decades. You can be the guy to do it. He does it. It's, for their standards, a successful operation. Then he gets sold something even greater on Cuba. And we are still implementing a siege of their resources on Cuba.
Speaking of crimes.
But that's not, there's no geopolitical, there's really, really rational, really little geopolitical rationalization that you can take from that, right? Because actually what would benefit the United States, and Obama understood this at the end of his term, was calming down relations with Cuba. They're right off our coast. We could have an economic and trade relationship with them. The Cold War, we can moving past.
Like obviously, right? Like obviously, there's a age-old like adage or whatever you call it that you catch more. You catch more flies with honey than vinegar, right? Obviously, like you want you want to be more cooperative with your neighbors because presumably they'll be more likely to work with you. The AfD is taking over here in Germany. Yeesh.
That would actually be in our interests. but he's still pursuing that because it's an appeal to his ego. We've been trying to get rid of the Cuban regime for this amount of years, and Iran is the same thing. He's too stupid and arrogant to understand the consequences of it, and I don't necessarily think it's connected to a broader strategy outside of like every neocon coming in and saying, and perhaps like the right-wing Cuban diaspora in Florida that he's also pretty beholden to, that like this is our time to strike.
For the Cubans, the obvious reason is that we do not want a soft landing with the Cuban government. We want it to implode so that we can go back in that moment, go back in and make a legal claim to property that was my great-grandparents that they had essentially acquired because they were playing ball with Batista, who was a huge criminal.
Slave regime.
And in Iran, like, it's completely, there's not even, I haven't, this is the thing that's amazing. You cannot even hear anybody articulate.
That's what Mom always says. Mers and everybody but Sanchez are about pissing people off by being doormats to the Yanks.
What is supposed to...
Well, that's good. Then that means that means that they are less and less liked.
to happen after this. Like at least with Iraq, they had a pretend end game. We're going to be met. We're going to liberate these people. We're going to be met with flowers and candy, and we're going to have we're going to create an entire sort of like the ground, year one, and it's going to be a free market test. And then we're going to go to Syria, and then we're going to.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, none of that ended up happening, huh?
Democratize and nobody's saying that.
Well, that's my point. That's probably then that's the point. Is when you look at it from the perspective of like Trump acting without having a plan, but based on being his ego being appealed to about being able to achieve these things, that could kind of square that circle, right?
Yeah, I mean, with him, I think he just thought it was going to be easy. But I don't even know what the people who are pushing him to do it.
Well, Lindsey Graham is the guy, I guess, on Iran. But yeah.
Folks, just wanted to make a note of this. I've just been informed. It is our 5-year partner anniversary on Twitch.
Nice. Thought we had breaking news or something.
Hype train.
Wow, wait, what? Twitch finally gets recognition? Amazing.
That is a hype train. Poggers.
Oh, he said the
Poggers,
thing.
ladies and gentlemen. Poggers. Hey.
I feel like that should probably be a sound drop, right? And that definitely should be a sound drop.
That is a hype train. Poggers. Poggers, ladies and gentlemen.
He's such a boomer. My goodness.
Poggers. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily
It's still unclear whether or not Samuel knows what that means, but okay. Thank you, Sam. Time does fly by. The bad news is that it's like Gaza with Harris. The right is moving in to fill the vacuum when the libs stay home on election day. Ah. Okay, well then that's not good. Alright folks, we're going to try to speed run through some of these to try to get out of here as quickly as possible. This one is not going to need that much time, folks. Jim Clyburn is running for 18th term in Congress. Longtime Representative Jim Clyburn, one of the oldest members of Congress, said that he'll run for an 18th term in the House, breaking with two other former top Democratic leaders, Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer, who have decided to retire. In a few minutes, I'm going to sign the paperwork that's necessary in order to qualify for the Democratic nomination to run again. Clyburn, 85 and young, said in the past that he wants to help Democrats take back control of the House in November and elect the nation's first black speaker, one of his proteges, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. He certainly doesn't do anything to make that happen. Clyburn said he had a phone call on Wednesday with Jeffries who encouraged him to run again and be part of the leadership team in the new Congress. He was among those who asked me to stay. He did not know or had not been informed of what my decision was going to be, and he expressed an interest in being part of my being part of leadership. Zero lessons learned. Zero lessons learned. Pretty sure this guy was instrumental in securing Joe Biden's eventual nomination. '18th run in Congress. Look, it would be one thing, okay? It would be one thing if Clyburn was doing some really good stuff and fighting for just the betterment of people in the United States, but he hasn't really done any of that at all. He hasn't done any of that at all. Don't wish for the first Black House leader and then place that on Jeffries. I mean, ostensibly, that's probably what's gonna happen, right? Like, he's if there's gonna be anyone that's gonna be the leader, they're probably Democratic leadership is just gonna like put Jeffries there because like that's just who that's just who the Democrats are. Should Trump give Bondi a raise like he did Noam? Why? Trump should be in jail. Trump should be in jail right now. We're talking raises about other criminals too? The real question you should be asking about Pam Bondi, the only relevant question you should be asking about Pam Bondi is why she protected Jeffrey Epstein, a known pedophile. Why did she protect Jeffrey Epstein, and why did Donald Trump hire the attorney general who protected Jeffrey Epstein? Both attorney generals in his first term and his second term, both attorney generals protected known pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, right? It's because Donald Trump is also one too. So I don't know what the point of that was. Trump belongs in jail, and supporting him is a criminal act. True. No sarcasm, sorry. That's all good. David Harrison, Trump is screwing America like that 13-year-old girl. Yep, that's true. He does like him young. That is very true. The pedophile in chief. The White House tells House Republicans to stop talking about mass deportations. Yeah. Oh man, it's happening, folks. It's happening. The White House Deputy Chief of Staff James Blair privately urged House Republicans on Tuesday. Today. Oh wait, no. Today's Thursday. 2 days ago. To stop emphasizing mass deportations. Instead, focus their messaging on removing violent criminals, according to sources from the closed-door briefing. Yeah, it turns out that that's not... it's not hitting the mark, right? Unfortunately, they can't really be on message with regards to removing violent criminals because they're not really doing that either. Tell me a better joke. Is Satan still pregnant in the White House? No. Donald Trump aborted the baby, remember? Donald Trump aborted the Satan baby. They're not going after any violent criminals. I mean, like, it's really like 5% of the people, like maybe 5% to 10% of the people that they're deporting are like actual criminals. Yeah, they're not actually really trying to target violent criminals, not really. Yeah, it's true. They set all the violent criminals free. The January 6ers. Mass deportations were central to the GOP's fascist 2024 political campaign. Nearly half of Americans, 49%, say Trump's mass deportation campaign is too aggressive. Too aggressive. Including 1 in 5 voters who backed the president in 2024. Blair delivered the message during a policy listening session with the House Republicans at their annual retreat in Doral, Florida. He encouraged members to focus on deporting violent offenders rather than defending the broader concept of mass removals. Yeah, it's not going so great, folks. It's not going so great at all for the Republicans on this one. The advice signals a recalibration by the White House and reflects a growing concern among Republicans that Democrats are successfully framing Trump's immigration policy as overly sweeping and indiscriminate. I don't know if that's... I don't know if this is like the Democrats doing, because like they're kind of... They're missing in action on any of this, to be honest, or maybe I'm wrong about the perception of this. But it's just the fact that like people are seeing their neighbors disappear, okay? It's the fact that people are having their family members disappear. It's the fact that like the horrible conditions in these concentration camps are being shown. I don't know if it's much, rather it's more like it's too out in the open and people are starting to notice. And people broadly speaking aren't really for this. I don't know how these people aren't getting arrested. Everyone knows he's a pedophile and somehow not getting arrested. It's a good thing I got out. Yeah, no kidding. It's a very valid question, and it kind of shows the values, right? MAGA can't comprehend actually caring about others and wanting what's best for others. True. Seriously. On 100%. Immigration enforcement. It's not immigration enforcement. I will refuse. I reject this framing. Has been a defining issue for Trump and congressional Republicans and was a central pillar of their fascist rhetoric. The administration has leaned heavily into aggressive enforcement actions into its first year. Again, I'm rejecting this idea. I'm just outright that this is about immigration enforcement at all. At all. But the killing of 2 citizens and reports of citizens being detained have complicated the politics. Oh yeah. I suppose I suppose that's one way. That is one way of viewing it, right? Yeah. The murder of citizens and as American citizens being detained and being their rights being violated. Yeah, that may have complicated the politics of mass deportations. You gotta love mainstream media. You gotta love mainstream media. Kadmala, welcome. They're not going after any immigrants at this point. Only enemies of the state. Yeah, no, I mean, like I do think that they're targeting immigrants, right? The brown ones. Right, like this is an ethnic cleansing operation. This is not an immigration enforcement operation, right? Like that's kind of what I was getting at. That's kind of what I was getting at. It's not really like a immigration operation, right? It's exactly, yeah. If you're a leftist or brown skin or even just not a fascist, you're an enemy of the state. Yeah, yeah. Because if you try to stand up to ICE, then you will be arrested or killed, right? Like that's where we're at, essentially. House Republicans are meeting this week to map out their legislative agenda and strategy for keeping the majority in November's midterms. I don't think that's happening, folks. I don't think that's happening. Blair also told members to go out and find real Americans to highlight wins in GOP's sweeping legislative package passed last summer, which they won't be able to do that because they're talking about the big beautiful bill, right? And that didn't really benefit any quote real Americans, white Americans, right? That didn't really benefit the broad populace of the country. It just goes to show these people are scared. They know it. They know it. They know that their political careers are cooked. And they know that if they don't put the pedal to the metal and try to either vote or suppress your way out of this, try to manipulate the way, whether it be redistricting, voter suppression, voter ID, whatever method that these people are going to try to continue to push for, to try to maintain power, it's clear to me that they are going to get, they're probably going to have to get even more aggressive, because it's not looking good, and I know that they're desperate. It's palpable. At least how they, at least they're very aware of it, and they're going to try to do everything to kind of hang on to power. If the U.S. strategic oil reserves are being drained now and will need to be replenished by various unfriendly companies, during the first months it said that there's 100 days in China's oil reserves. If the price per barrel stays by the way 100 and to 200. Maybe all those oil corporations might get interested in running Venezuela's oil fields. There's Pierce too, the new head of BLM. An oil refinery is being built in Brownsville, Texas by America First Refinery, marking the first U.S. refinery in nearly 50 years. This $300 billion project is expected to create thousands of jobs. Yeah, this is not good. Not very good. The new chief of the Bureau of Land Management is a former Representative Steve Pierce, nominated by President Trump. Pierce has a history of advocating for privatization of public lands. Yeah. Not good. Not great. Not good. MAGA Family Values Grand Champion is Jeffrey Epstein, playing Fortnite with 10-year-olds on an Xbox in Tel Aviv, and DJ Ted beating little girls during the unspeakable. Things that happened, by the way. Was it Fortnite or was it Call of Duty that was Jeffrey Epstein's like game of choice? Or maybe it was both, honestly. Maybe it was both. I think he had accounts or played both games, to be honest. It's fantastic to see watching them run scared. Yeah, it's very, 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 very obvious to me that they are nervous, and but that's why we must be more vigilant, because the more nervous these people get, the more obvious it seems that their power is going to be removed and diminished, the more aggressive and the more dangerous they are going to become for the short term. The strategic oil reserve is all of a few days worth. The strategic oil reserve is pretty much like gone. It's pretty much gone because Trump never bothered to actually re-up the strategic reserve when it was already pretty much depleted. So it's done. I don't know. I don't know if we've got any left, or if it even matters, to be honest. I actually think nuclear energy is viable if you produce it from thorium. There's zero risk of meltdown if you make nuclear fission from thorium. I'm not like the biggest enemy of nuclear, to be honest. We gotta get off fossil fuels. We have to get off fossil fuels. They're not nervous because they know they've got it rigged. Well, no, I would argue that they're trying to get it rigged because they're nervous. Like the reason why Donald Trump is like so adamant about passing the SAVE Act, right? The Save America Act, right? Is because he knows he's got to do these things to try to hold on to power. because he's nervous. Like they're not scrambling around trying to take away people's ways of voting with these laws like in South Dakota. Because they're not nervous. I would argue that it's because they are nervous that they're trying to do these aggressive measures to do, as you say, rig the elections. Wherever and however possible, right? Whether it be like messing with the post office, whether it be by passing the SAVE Act, whether it be by South Dakota making a law where you can literally go after your neighbor because they may or may not be Democrat or a perceived political opponent, and try to take away their question their eligibility to vote. Like, all of these things are happening. I would argue, in my opinion, that they're happening because they're scared, and that's why they need to do this. This doesn't strike me as a coherent administration that's in control. My grapevine tells me that they're largely expecting the Democratic Party to borderline go extinct and never be any close to federal power again than the Revolutionary Communist Party. I mean, maybe it all implodes. I just don't know, like, why they would be spending all this effort trying to put in all these laws when they know they've got it, right? Like, why would you spend that much effort? To me, it seems like they've already to me, it seems like they're doing this because they're scared. And if the Democratic Party does go extinct, that might be a good thing. Maybe a more left-wing party, maybe a more left-wing party takes up its place if it does end up going belly up, which maybe that's the case. If the Democratic Party goes extinct, there's going to be a party a party vacuum if that happens, right? Like, there's going to be a vacuum. And if the Democratic Party goes belly up, then I would say that maybe a more left-wing party could rise up. But these are all hypotheticals. I'm not sure that that the Democratic Party is going away anytime soon. Those oil buddies can really make a mint now at those $200 per barrel current prices. A good timing for anyone who already pennied up a huge contribution to Trump organizations or Bitcoin scam. They have to do these things, but those things work. Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. These things work. That's why they want to do these things. That's why Trump is scrambling, trying to get that SAVE Act passed, like it might be his last hurrah. Yeah. They know they have to do those things because they know it works. I agree. Yeah, more leftist because left is best. I agree. If the Democratic Party does go under, then, like, I think that we should probably be ready for that. If that path presents itself, right? I just don't think that the Democratic Party is just gonna go belly up in the short term. I think it might disappear in maybe in the longer term, but yeah. I actually think the GOP is more likely to disappear than the Dems and a moderate center-right party taking its place. Like the Democrats, the Democrats become the new Republicans, and then a left-wing party becomes an actual left-wing party. I would prefer that. I'd be okay with that. It wouldn't so much vanish entirely as being reduced to something about as marginal as third parties. I mean, if there's enough of a left-wing party to kind of like take that vacuum, then inshallah. Cause yeah, I mean, I wouldn't exactly, I would be fine if the Democratic Party, got reduced to basically being nothing if there's a left-wing party that takes up the place. But that's just my opinion. I actually think the neoliberal Dems would exit to form that new party, and fine, that would be cool if if the current GOP, right, like if the alternate universe, right, happens where the current GOP implodes, right, and all these neoliberal Dems leave the Democratic Party, right, and form the new Republican Party, which is just basically like just basically just like the Democrats from like the third way, right? Like your Bill Clinton types, your Hakeem Jeffrey types, your Chuck Schumer types, and they form the new Republican Party, and a new left-wing movement gets born out of that, to kind of balance that. Then yeah, I would be in favor of that. I would be in favor of that. It wouldn't be a two-party system anymore, but a one-party system. I mean, well, in my head, in my scenario, in my imaginary scenario, it would be because it would be I mean, unless it's like unless like we just never recover from this, right? Like I hope that there's some kind of opposition to whatever like right-wing shenanigans come up, right? Like if the new Democratic Party, if the old guard of the Democrats turn into the new Republicans, and I imagine that the new Democrats, right, the opposition supposedly would be more left-wing. Looney Tunes, welcome. The Third Way and DLC were Coke bankrupt. That is bankrolled, exactly. It's exactly it. The new name for the Save America Act is Go Back or Leave It to Beaver. Boomer Act. We need to go back to Boomer era and stay there. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We need to get rid of plurality voting and replace it with proportional representation. For the House, yeah. For the House of Representatives, yeah. We also need to get rid of the Senate. Whatever recovery might be in the way, in the cards, it is a century or longer away. Perhaps. Perhaps, or maybe we just never do. Maybe we just never recover. It's unclear, really, honestly. Maybe we never recover. If we do recover, maybe it'll take a generation, maybe 2 generations, maybe 100 years, maybe longer. I don't know. Regardless of what it is, we're here. We're here now, and our job is to try to make this place, leave this place better than when we found it. Or at least try, right? At least try. The Senate would vote, would become part of Congress and would only vote in certain special laws. Yeah, I mean, I would be in favor of that. Just take away the Senate as a institution, like how it functions here. So anyways, folks, this kind of also is not really that much to say, other than there's another attempt at voting to fund the DHS, and that failed. So yep, that's still shut down, folks. If you're wondering why TSA lines are pretty big, pretty long, it's because of this. I say keep it shut down. I don't care. The DHS doesn't need funding. I genuinely don't care. Nothing this government is doing is worth funding anyways. Pharaonic despotism lasted from Narma to Ashurbanipal's defeat, so about 2,700. That's how long it can last. Yeah, I certainly don't want that. I certainly don't want that. In the current situation, U.S. politics has been exposed as a sham unless you finally have an appetite for an anti-imperialist socialist party. Yeah, which I do, and I hope. Split FEMA from the DHS, I think that should happen. I don't know why FEMA's in the DHS. Secretaries would be voted by the House of Representatives. Every procedure would be started by the House, as it should be. The People's House. The People's Chamber. Welcome, JK. I've got one clip and then this last article.
Might have lost. You don't regret that people might have lost important income to support their lives?
No. I think it was more important to reduce the federal deficit from $2 trillion to close to zero.
Right. Did you reduce the federal deficit?
No, we didn't.
This is a history.
Yeah, so I mean, like, these are Doge employees, right? This is one of a series. These are the people that were running around taking a sledgehammer to the federal government, right? To the federal bureaucracies that makes this whole thing go, right? Did you actually reduce the deficit? No.
Of the HIV/AIDS prison movement and its legacies in the United States. My book project narrates how activists fought the convergence of HIV/AIDS and incarceration from inside and outside prisons across the Reagan through Clinton years, and argues that this organizing holds legacies in the prison abolition movement of the 1990s to today. This is one of the grants that you or Mr. Fox identified as craziest at NEH, is that right?
That's right.
Why did you identify this as one of the craziest grants?
Because it references feminist and queer insights into prison abolition and LGBTQ studies.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, literal, like, 4chan, little groiper shit stains that were just barely out of college were the ones deployed by Elon Musk to take a sledgehammer to very important programs and admitted we didn't even do anything for the deficit. Trump added no less than $4 trillion to the deficit, and the conflict in Iran is going to cost the U.S. over $35K per second right now, you child. I mean, literally a child. Literally like a little 4chan groiper.
Any other reasons?
No.
Examining military service from the margins, the complicated service discussion series will bring together veterans and community members to examine the experiences of service members who identify themselves as female, Black, Native American, LGBTQ, or an immigrant, the dynamics, reasoning, and strength behind serving a country that does not always serve you in return. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
You and Mr. Fox identified this as one of the craziest grants at NEH?
Yes.
Very punchable face on the video.
Why did you do that?
Because it explicitly says LGBTQ.
Do you have any history in, like, let's say, scholarly peer review?
No.
Okay. So, but this judgment call was made by you and your personal judgment combined with Justin's personal judgment to cancel grants based on DEI.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's inappropriate in any way that someone in their 20s with no experience with grants or federal government was making personal judgment calls about what grants to cancel?
Actually, no, I don't think it's inappropriate.
Okay. Why not?
Objection.
Yeah, like, do you think that, like, maybe just throwing in, like, this little shit stain to take a sledgehammer to the government without no experience is inappropriate? No. Apparently not. So-called anti-intellectualism and barbarism has taken such root that freaks like this kid are allowed to have important roles in society. Yep. Trump added $7 trillion to the deficit in his first term. He's almost started that year in year one this term. Fantastic. Mind you that Ashurban was the diametric opposite of a liberator, and the general pattern of history has been that tyrannical despotism most commonly got overthrown by radical, harsher tyranny and despotism. Yep. Scholarly peer review, also known as AI. Yep.
I think a person can have enough judgment from reading books and being well informed outside of traditional experience to make judgment calls about obvious things like a grant that literally lists DEI in its description to know whether it violates an executive order.
I'm sorry. I'm saying books because you said books. What books would you have read that would have informed your opinion on what grants to cancel based on DEI? Or
there were no books.
So wait. So he didn't even read any. Wow, what a loser, man. This is the exact same. And like him, they're all like this. Okay. They're all just like, you can just copy paste. Okay. You can just copy paste. All of these little Doge freaks are exactly like this. Okay. And these are the people that were running around taking a sledgehammer to the federal government and destroying it because something about DEI and feminism and queer people. And so, yeah. My dad looks hollow inside, yep. Sociopaths indeed. Firefly, he wants to sound smart, but it's already backfiring. I just got here. As Mein Kampf when voting, it's the same thing. Never reads about anything. Yep. Oh, why did it censor dunce? That's funny. That's so funny. It censored dunce. Of all the things to censor, right? It's true. Alright folks, this is the last important article that we gotta get through. Millions of Americans have to skip meals and stretch medication to afford healthcare. Yeah, remember? Remember when they basically torpedoed the subsidies? That was, regardless of like the failings and problems with Obamacare, right? Like, millions of people really did depend on those subsidies. Now, 1/3 of Americans are cutting back on everyday living expenses like, you know, food, and stretching their prescription medication, which is not good, by the way. You shouldn't do that. So they can afford healthcare, according to new polling from the West Health Gallup Center on Healthcare in America. About 82 million people across low, middle, and high-income brackets say they're spending less on utilities, drive less to save on gas, and take other steps to afford healthcare, according to the research center. They also report borrowing money and cutting back on utilities to afford medical care. Fantastic. And now buy food with Klarna. Yep. That's true. They used to call the 6th grade reading level functionally illiterate. Yep. I mean, this guy. The findings were released as Americans are facing sharply higher gasoline and energy costs due to the Iran war that Trump started, compounding a long-standing affordability crunch. Millions of people are also coping with higher health insurance costs after lawmakers allowed the Affordable Care Act tax credits to expire. Budget cutting was even more common among Americans without health insurance, with more than 60% saying they made at least one financial sacrifice, such as borrowing money to pay for health care, according to the research. Nearly 1 in 10 adults, or roughly 24 million people, say health costs have forced them to postpone their retirements. Fantastic. Americans are also making other sacrifices, such as delaying a job change, putting off buying a new home, or postponing growing their family. We're doing great, folks. We're doing great. A 48-hour interruption in my medicine drip is lethal to me. In the great country of the US of A, that would be basically a death sentence. And Trump stopped Meals on Wheels, kicked millions off food stamps, let 9 tons of food that was meant for food pantries rot in some warehouse when it was already paid for. Yep. What a great country. What a great country. I bought $500 monitor with Klarna once as an example. Yeah, you can basically finance almost anything with Klarna and any other similar predatory lending solution. There's a couple of them. It's not just Klarna. Sounds like a depression. Yeah, right? It does. When you have like tens of millions of people not being able, they're sacrificing health to maintain healthcare, which is like an insane concept. Like, make this make sense. You're metering out medication to be able to afford healthcare, to be able to afford your health insurance. This is insane. U.S. is in a recession. Yep. People are sacrificing just to have healthcare, which we're just paying to insurance companies for nothing. We're having people skip meals. We're having people skip meals to give insurance companies more money. Not the administration lied to you. The U.S. is in a recession. Yep, people are starving to death in the U.S. at scale. The trick is that the attribution of other cases is always possible, like with HIV or a number of other issues. I wouldn't doubt that, honestly. By the way, we just made $18 trillion. Trump said, "Yay!" And it's more stupid since it was induced by the White House. Yep. Yep. Alright, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. It is just about above 6:30. I gotta get out of here. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your support. You guys are what makes this channel go, folks. I really do appreciate it. Thank you on the YouTube side, and thank you on the Twitch side for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. You guys are what makes this channel go. If you want to support the channel, folks, please spread the word far and wide. We are here Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Check out my show on This Space every Tuesday, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern. Oof, I'm getting all my stuff confused here. I'm very tired. Ground level news, welcome. GNN is still live. Please, folks, if you're on the YouTube side, head out over there. There's a lot of awesome content creators out there. Thank you all. Gladstone Tame Homelessness, and that's at least 7 times the official, and that still sounds low to me. I mean, it's possible. The situation here is kind of bad. It's kind of really bad. Thank you, Dakota. Appreciate it. You have a good weekend, Ladybug. We'll be back on Monday. If you want to support the channel directly, you all know what to do. Check out the merch store. Check out the exclamation mark tip. Join the Discord. Do all the things and all the stuff and all the things. You know what I mean. Right? Click on all the clicky links and stuff. And so ends another woke a difficult truth. Is it time to expose a CNN contract? You know, they hit your favorite president very hard all the time. Just fake news. Galactic Streamlord on Twitch. Yep. If they're live, I'll just go over and raid. Sounds good to me. Thank you, Bonzilla, for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Alright, folks. We're gonna get out of here. You know what? Let's just go over to Very Nice TV. How about that? The folks on YouTube can go to Galactic News Network. And we'll head on here. Alright, folks, thank you all for being here. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one Monday around 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Inevitable in a capitalist society.